Alright, kitties, this is a honest opinion about Procreate, because I feel like I'm one of the only few people who absolutely get pissed off about this program. But okay, so for reference, I am going to compare it to Medibang, which is a free program, right? So before anyone asks why I'm not like using Ibis Paint, I I dislike Ibis Paint's interface and the fact that it has ads everywhere, from the brushes to the canvas. No, thank you. Here on Medibang, there's only like 2 ads if you like open and close a canvas, and it's not, bothering anyone. Um, so yeah, I'm going to compare Medibang being a free program and Procreate being a paid program for roughly 10 USD plus tax. So, all right. Before anyone asks, or before I end this video or something, uh, 10 out of 10 for Medibang as an actual, decent program, especially since it's free. You don't have to pay for it, like Procreate. Procreate as a drawing program, I'll give it a 7 or out of 10, but as an actual program, like its working interface, I have to rate it a 5. I can't go higher than that, maybe a 6, but 5 is where I'm at. It's where I'm sitting at. Medibank can be a 9 out of 10, but 10 is like, because it's free. I did pay for Medibank, one, because I just felt like I wanted to, also because I wanted to support the company. But whatever. So, first of all, what it looks like when you open up the programs. If you don't have a canvas open, this is what they all look like. Obviously, Medibang has a lot of stuff on it. Here's the actual gallery stuff. I don't really see anything bad about this for Medibang because it's pretty simple, to be quite honest. And I have drawn more on Procreate because I'm trying to get used to Procreate, but for some reason I'm still really not being able to get used to Procreate. So first I'll compare my first finished drawings of Medibang and Procreate. So obviously, as you can see here, the interface. Oh yes. Uh, did I turn off Bluetooth? Oh shoot. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So obviously the interface is absolutely different. Shortcuts are a very much important thing uh, when using a drawing program software. Ibis Paint has shortcuts. Clipstudio Paint has shortcuts. Other drawing programs like Infinity Painter or Infinite Painter, Corel Painter, Photoshop, Adobe Fresco, um, hell, even note-taking apps, they all have shortcuts. The only shortcuts that you'd really find here on Procreate is the typical brush, smudge, erase, layers, colors, and the thingies under modify, which is the selection tool, settings, effects, and I don't really know what to call this because it's a cursor, but I'll call it let's call it transform for now. Obviously here, everything has a shortcut icon in in Medibang, and there's also this cute tab here where you can customize your shortcut preferences, which I very much like. Um, but other than that, Medibang definitely takes the cake in shortcuts. And if you don't really understand why shortcuts are important, let me dumb it down to you. You see where text is, right? It's very simple. Like, you can also slide and stuff here. The interface is very sleek. It does take up space, but that's not really a problem for me since um, I don't really like having too much open space. I prefer to have things compact. I'm just that type of person, but if you are someone who wants to have a wide amount of space, Procreate may be the one for you. But let's say I'm going to edit my colors and I want to have a live preview of it, then the color wheel is not gonna go off until I tap it again. But here in Procreate, as soon as you tap out of the color wheel, it's gone. I don't really know if there's a setting to not do this, but yeah, uh, pretty much of a nuance if you are someone who likes to have things on the same place. And there's also this thing. Honestly, this may be the only con I have for Medibang, but it's not like a huge con or whatever. It's just that the brush size and opacity, if you don't want to have the brush catalog out, is all the way at the bottom over here, but that's not really a big nuance. Obviously here in Procreate, it's like at the center somewhat, but it's still at the bottom, not really at the center of the canvas. Alright, so now we're going to take a look at layers. If you don't really know what the greatest things about digital art is that you pay for one thing and you get an infinite amount of resources. Meanwhile, in real life, you pay like $50 for a single brush or a single paint set. That's mad. That's super expensive. Like, that's crazy. But obviously here, and especially we don't really have layers in real life unless you actually want to simulate that. It's going to be pretty hard. So as you can see, um, uh, there's a lot of things that you can do with layers here in Medibang. Meanwhile, you can't really do much. Like, let's say here I'm on the folder layer right now, and I can choose different effects for the layers. So I can go to that stuff and this stuff. What can I do for now? Just to show as an example. Let me just put these into a folder. Oh no, I'm gonna make a new folder. Okay. And then I'm gonna clip that. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's do this. So let's just do like, I don't know, difference, and we're gonna clip it. Wow, you can do that in Medibang. And you can do this for free, as far as my knowledge. But here you can't do that in Procreate. There's only rename, flatten, merge down, combine down, and you can't do effects in layers. And you're probably gonna say, oh, but Procreate is still updating. They're still working stuff out. Well, let me tell you, other free programs, other free softwares have this feature, and it's a basic feature in my opinion, because Fire Alpaca, and for those who don't know, I absolutely hate Fire Alpaca to the bone. I hate Fire Alpaca. Fire Alpaca has all the basic features that Procreate doesn't. So that's kind of, sad, because Procreate is a paid program. You can't have a free trial of it. You have to pay it up front. I don't really know about how refunds work, but as soon as you get the program, it's with you for life. But yeah, it is one of my greatest nuances or pet peeves here in Medibang. So I mean in Procreate. And if you don't really know why this is like a big pet peeve of mine, I'm very organized. Watch a majority of my speed painting videos, and you can see I have layers upon layers and groups and folders of me categorizing and organizing certain parts of my drawing, from the effects to the colors to the line art to the sketching. I like to separate my sketches and finished product with folders. I don't really do that here much on my iPad, but you can definitely see it whenever I do something on uh, on a PC, because I do primarily still draw on my laptop. And for example, I guess here, let me go for this one. Um, and I guess another problem with this is that here in Medibang, I can change the opacity of the folders, right? Like, that's super good. That's really nice. Meanwhile, you can't do anything besides rename, flatten, merge down, combine down, and lock and duplicate. And pretty much sucks because since I want to separate my layers, like let's say here I'm sketching right now, and I want to separate it. I want to lower the opacity of all the layers, all the sketch layers, and not just one of them. I have to do it all manually. Like that's a lot of work, you know. I have to change all the opacities one by one, man. All right. So another thing that does bother me with Procreate is just how they manage the, I guess you can say, the stabilization settings. So for those who have only used Procreate, let me and don't really understand what stabilization means. It is basically a streamline here on Procreate. That's what stabilization means, because there's no other um, part of the thingies here, of the of the properties and settings that indicate that. So if you don't really know where I'm going with this, let me just close canvas, leave without saving, because I didn't really do anything here. Let's go here. I'm just gonna make a new canvas. Yes. Okay. Let's just go with black. So, let me use a different brush. So HB pencil, that's what we're going to use, and we're going to go to black. Oh, and before I continue, a very big pet peeve of mine is the fact that they have a disc for a color wheel, which is impractical in my opinion because one, no corners really. Two, they have a classic one, which, you know, is like weird considering the fact that the disc is like, just why? Out of all the color wheels that they could have chosen, they didn't even choose the triangle, which is the best color wheel ever because it only has the three important functions, which is hue, saturation, and value, or lightness and brightness, or darkness, whichever you want to call. But yeah, HSV, right? So those are the most important parts of a color wheel. But for some reason, they went with the disc, and this is one of my biggest pet peeves that I'm absolutely annoyed by. Because let's say, because the hue ring is one of the most important parts of a color wheel, right? It makes lives easier if you are someone who is dependent on this. But if you're someone who doesn't really mind it, then yeah, you can live with this. But seriously, they have this cool harmony one, this value one. They have palettes. For some reason, they went with a circle instead of a triangle. That's not cool, man. That's bad job. Anyways, oh, and another very pet peeve of mine is that they don't have a transparent option. I don't really know what to call this besides color. Transparent color. I just find this much more practical to use rather than having to uh, choose different settings brushes for your eraser, but like you can still have this but also have a transparent tool, but I don't know. And I guess another thing before I go on is that why don't they have the opacity number on the layers, right? So right next to N or right next to the name of the layer, they could just have the percentage of the opacity because you have to click and tap. And I guess that's another thing that really bothers me is that how many times you have to click and tap on Procreate. Compared to here on Mediabang, you usually have to tap things like once or twice. Here you have to tap like 3 to 5 times just to get something to work. And I don't know why. That just really bothers me because, you know, time is money. And if you want to work fast, then Procreate will force you to go slow, you know, which is a bad thing if you're like on a time constraint and if you just really don't like programs that force you to go slow. Okay, now going to the actual topic in question, which is stabilization settings. Okay, so now we're going to draw some circles to prove my innocence. So let me do 4 circles at a medium speed. So usually I go for 0 to 2 or 3 stabilization settings. So let's go for 0 for both of these brushes right now. Okay. Oops. All right. 0. Oh, shoot. I should use a different brush for this. What should I use? I'll use G pen. Okay, that's great. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm gonna do 4 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I'm gonna do triangles. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now I'm gonna go on procreate. So circles again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we're gonna do straight lines. Well, just lines. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then triangles again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, there's not much that you can see here, but for some reason here on Medibank it looks much smoother than it is on Procreate, which is very interesting. And I did hold the pen the same way as I did for both of these when I did the example. So now we're gonna amp it all the way to the maximum setting. So here in Medibank, the maximum correction or stability is 20, but on PC it goes up to 40. So now we're gonna do the same thing: circles, lines, and triangles. One, and I'm going to do them at the same speed as I did for the first ones or the first examples. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I know. It does not look like anything that I did at the top, and I did it at the same speed as I did presumably for the first 3 examples. Now we're going to go here for procreate. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So hopefully you guys saw the differences, especially since I maxed out the streamline setting. And if you didn't, just replay the footage. But basically, here on almost every other art program, stability lags the flow of your stroke, your brush stroke. So basically, like, let's say, let me put it all the way back down to 0 because I absolutely hate high settings. Like I said earlier, I usually just stick between 0 to 2 and maybe 3, because it also depends on the brush and the texture. But anyway, so let's say I drew a straight line, but like let's say this is 0, but and this is the speed that I went for. But if I amped it up to, I don't know, 10, like I went for the same speed, but it's only going to go all the way here because it lags the flow of your brushstroke. However, here on Procreate, it has a ribbon-like effect. It still follows your brushstroke, but it doesn't lag it. It just makes it more, how do I say this? I don't really know what to say besides the fact that it's like a ribbon. And for those who want smoother lines, especially if you're someone who heavily relies on line art, this isn't really the one for you. And it really bothers me too because I am very much dependent on line art, but Procreate, it kind of forces you to not be dependent on line art, which is good, but also bad if you are someone who prefers to have a neat and concise, organized work style. So let me do more examples. So let me go back to the highest setting. All right, then we're gonna do arches. One, two, three, 4. All right, now you see that. Then we're gonna go here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, you see that? You see the difference? I did the same stroke of my wrist, of my hand, and for some reason, Medibang wins that, but Procreate does not. Here, they actually look like arches. Here, they look like a math problem. Like this is the slope or something. I don't know. 90-degree angle, am I right? Like here, it looks like a parabola. This looks like a exponential graph. I'm sorry if you guys having like flashbacks to math class. But yeah, let me do another example. So let's draw a heart this time. Okay, then let's draw a heart here. Alright, you see where the problem lies. Okay, so Procreate, this is good if you are someone who does calligraphy, lettering, whatever the fancy cursive script stuff, right? But if you're someone who wants a more authentic feel to actual painting, this will tick you off quite a lot, all right? So these are pretty much my biggest pet peeves when it comes to Procreate, and why I'm very dissatisfied with the fact that one, it's a paid program. Two, there's no free trial. Like other programs like Infinite Painter, um, Adobe Fresco, and other programs that don't require pay up front, like Procreate, like even Clip Studio Paint, it still gives you like a 3 month free trial before you actually pay for the monthly subscription, you know, and like $5 a month. Obviously, it's expensive for someone like me because I'm still a student. I'm still a high school student, and I don't really have a job right now. But if you are someone who does have a job and $5 is like, I don't know, a tip or something, and you can easily get, I don't know, $100, and spending $5 is not like life changing to you or life threatening to you, then that's sweet. You know, you can definitely go with Clip Studio Paint. Um, but yeah, the am I satisfied with paying 10 USD on Procreate? No. And I guess another, this is very, very, I guess, controversial for me to say is, um, I really don't like how Procreate doesn't really have a platform for people to share brushes. Like, if you don't really know, Clip Studio Paint, I guess, or Celsius, just Clip Studio overall, it has a community. It has a platform where other creators, artists, and whatever will share their assets to people. And Clip Studio also has its own, I guess you can say, currency that you can get like every day. I think it's like 10 or 20 or 15, somewhere between that range. Um, and I think you can get like a 300 for an entire month, more or less. But yeah, a majority of the brushes in Clip Studio are free. Like, that's crazy. A majority of them are, well, not really a majority. Uh, like, let's say 80%. Oh no, let me go back to zero. Zero, please go back to zero. Okay, let's go. All right. So a majority of them, like let's say 80 to 90% are free. But then ever since the, I guess, mark of the free monthly currency that Clipsio offers, um, some of them are turning to paid, which is like, I don't know, 200 CP, for example, or like 400 CP, which honestly isn't a lot because you can get free CP just from submitting assets of your own. And you can literally just do that with random stuff. Like, it doesn't have to be good stuff. You can just post random stuff, you know? And you can easily get CP like for free without much effort. That's really good. So, yeah. Like for example, here on Procreate, there are brush sets that other artists make that will be $25, real money. And I don't know, I guess that just bothers me a lot. I mean, yeah, good for them to make these brushes and sell it, you know? Like, I can understand $5 and maybe even $10, but I already paid 10 USD for Procreate. I don't really think I have enough money to, and have the real urge to spend $25 more for a brush set that I don't think I'll even like, you know? I don't, I, like, for people who can understand me, who are tight on money, it's just, that's a real bargain to ask for. Like, yeah, but yeah. So what are the things that I wish Procreate will do that will satisfy my needs, I guess, for it to be a good 10 USD program? One, have all of the basic features, like for example, the layer functions. Two, change the color wheel. Please, just change the color wheel to to a triangle. It makes life so much easier. Please, like it's but yeah, I just wish it was a triangle. And I guess another thing that really bothers me with Procreate is that it focuses more on aesthetic than actual functionality. So here's a big problem with Procreate before I forget to mention. And a lot of other programs and stuff is that um, they focus more on cute aesthetic look rather than actual uh, functionality and being able to work as a decent program. Because let me reiterate myself. Let me just completely go on loop. Medibang is free. A majority of these features that I show you are free. And the only ads, I say this again, are when you open a canvas and when you close a canvas. And you don't really do that often unless you like X out of Medibang and stuff like that. But even then, there's so much that you can do with Medibang, you know? And in my opinion, making a brush is far easier on Medibang than it is in Procreate. Obviously, one of the great things about Procreate is the versatility in brush creation because you can have so many types of brushes in Procreate. However, as before I forget to mention, I already forgot to mention in the first place, but Medibang Medibang's target audience are people who want to have like an anime-esque style, an anime-esque workflow. Medibang provides the tools necessary to create comics, manga, stuff like that. Procreate, it tries to heed itself to several artists, like a general target audience. But in my opinion, the main target audience Procreate has would probably be artists who want to have a traditional look because texture is very heavy on Procreate. But yeah, and before I forget, Medibang does have weird bugs where sometimes you can't like touch the screen or something. But it's usually when I'm like screen recording and doing something else on the sideline. But if I'm not doing that, then it works pretty fine on its own. And either way, it kind of helps me to like take a step back and be like, okay, I need a break because I've been drawing for 2 hours straight here on Medibang. But yeah, final thoughts overall. Uh, Still not satisfied with my purchase of Procreate. But just because I'm not satisfied doesn't mean that gonna I'm never gonna use it at all. Like, oops, I didn't mean to do that. Like, I'm still working on this one right now because I want to be able to get used to using Procreate. But it's really taking a while for me to do that. Like, look at how many drawings I did already, and I'm still not fully fully used to it. And look at how many drawings I made here on Medibang, and I'm already used to it. Like that's weird. That's weird. A lot of these don't even count as drawings too, and I'm already used to it. And sure, you're probably gonna say, "Oh, but you've used Medibang in the past few years on PC," but Medibang PC and Medibang, I guess you can say portable device, they're very different in terms of the interface itself, and it does have restricted features that Medibang PC does have, like for example effects and stuff like that. But overall, yeah. But if you're gonna ask me, well, is it still worth it to pay 10 USD for Procreate? I'm still gonna say yes because one, you can still get a lot of this program, but you'll also be missing quite a bit. For example, the basic functions of the layers that almost every other almost every other art program has. Like, for example, Ibis Paint, Medibang, which are technically free programs. That Ibis Paint just has a lot of ads, which I am very bothered by. But yeah, it's still pretty much worth it. And for example, Clipsio Paint's real price, if there's no sale, like for the pro version, is $50. But I got mine for $25 because of Black Friday sale at the time in 2018. Because I thought they didn't do sales like a lot. But no, apparently Clipsio Paint does do a lot of sales. And honestly, for $25, you're getting, for what it's worth, Clipsio Paint can be well over $100 in terms of what it offers you, especially with what I said earlier, the community it provides. Like, it allows you to share assets and download files for free. Like that's so much just for $25 that you can get. So if you do have uh, spare pocket change, then you try going for Clip Studio Paint. But if you just want to go for something similar to Clip Studio Paint and doesn't really lack a lot of features, and you don't really want to have, and you don't really have a style that adheres to texture and stuff like that, Mediabang should definitely be the one for you. Because, for example, like, let me just show some of the stuff I did. As you can see, there's a lot of texture here, and it's not really clean on Procreate. You can't really do clean work here on Procreate. Like, just look at the other drawing, speed painting videos and time lapses on um, Procreate. A lot of it really relies on textures because I don't know. That's just how it is, I guess. But yeah. And I am someone who loves texture a lot. Like I try to use it as much as I can, depending on what piece I did. Like for example, look at the drawing that I did for Another Day at Work. That one, in my opinion, has a lot of texture. But yeah. Anyways, just look at this drawing I did of Avery because I'm very much proud of it. I really like this. I got lazy at the daisies. I was like, no, thank you. I already did so much work here. I don't want to do more. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Hopefully this video was informative. If you do have any more questions and comments and reviews and critiques, please write them down so we can have like a discussion about this. But yeah, tell me your experiences as well with Procreate, and if you have used Medibang, or if you decided to try out Medibang because of this video. But yeah, and I do plan to make speed painting videos on the iPad with Medibang and Procreate, but I'm trying to figure out what is the best way to screen record and what is the best way to like edit videos. But other than that, yeah, have a great day.